I was in London at the time. I was meant to stay in London until September 2020, but I left in March for obvious reasons. This story has more than one creepy encounter. Anyway, here's what happened. I didn't know many people in London, but I had met these two Aussie ladies about my age that were cool to hang out with. I'm not a partier, but we went to a bar and had an awesome time. It was a themed night where everyone dressed up, they sang karaoke, and it was a lot of fun. I don't normally drink either, but I got carried away with the fun of the night and ended up drunk. Granted, everyone at the bar was drunk. I originally came thinking we would only have a meal and a couple of drinks. My mistake. The three of us traveled separately to the pub. I came by tube, subway, and a train. I had originally planned on taking the same route back, but I wasn't thinking straight and stayed at the pub longer than I should have. The tubes stay open late at night and keep running, but the trains were closed. My flat was near the tube station. You either had to take a train or a cab after the tube ride to get to my flat. I made my way to the tube station and figured that I'd just call a cab or Uber to get home after this ride. At this point, I was still not fully sober, but okay to travel. When I got to the station, there were guys leaning on the wall near the entrance. One guy tried talking to me, but I just went inside the station without saying anything. Something felt off about them. When I'm on the tube, I usually browse my phone. When I took it out, I realized I hadn't checked my phone battery, and it was dead. I didn't bring my purse with me on purpose because I didn't want to lose track of it at the pub. I also didn't bring the portable battery that I usually had on me. Again, I didn't plan on staying out as long as I did originally. I know this was stupid of me. Anyway, I got to my destination. I took the escalator back up from the tube, kept my eyes down, trying to keep to myself. My attention turned to the stairs next to me. There was a guy walking up at the same pace as the escalator and was talking to me. Let's call him Joe. Joe had been trying to get my attention and was telling me I should go with him. I kept saying, "No thanks, I just want to go home." It's a long escalator. He kept persisting and keeping up with me. I kept saying no. When we got to the top, he tried grabbing my hand, but I put my hands in my jacket pockets before he was able to. He was trying to grab my waist, and I just sped up to leave him behind. I exited the station. My intention was to immediately hail for a cab and get out. There were other people there, but they weren't paying us any mind. I know Joe could tell I was not sober, and I was creeped out. I tried looking for a cab I could signal to pick me up, but I did not see anything. I tried for 5 minutes. Joe was still hanging around, not coming up to me, but watching me, and I got scared. I'm usually a very good judge of character, of course you are, and I saw the 3 young people waiting at the light to cross the street. I felt like I could trust them, so I walked straight up to them and asked them to help me to call a cab. I told them I have my own money, and I'm not asking for anything, but I just need help calling for a cab. I told them the situation with my phone, etc., and that I just wanted to go home. As I was talking to the 3 people, Joe finally started walking away, to my relief. He had been lingering around. One of the girls said, "They will definitely help. Let's call her Emma." She looked up a number for the cab service and called. They told her that the cabs won't pick people up at this station. but there was a service center nearby. This is true, by the way. Neither of these three people were creepy in this story. Emma said she didn't want to leave me alone to find the service center. So she told me that they would walk with me there. They just asked that we stop by Subway for some food on the way. I was so thankful. Fast forward to when we left Subway. We were walking together. I felt awkward not being a part of their friend group, so I lagged behind a few steps and followed them. Not far at all, but just not walking beside them. As I was walking, there was a guy in a car parked on the curb. Let's call him Sam. Sam lowered his window and tried to wave me over. I did not stop. Then Sam called out and told me to come over, saying I look hot and he wanted to talk. He could take care of me, etc., etc. I shook my head, kept walking, and he opened his door to get out of his car. Emma and the two others looked back, and I sped walk to catch up. Sam went back into the car when he saw I was with a group. I remember saying to Emma something along the lines of, "This same thing happened at the station too." Emma replied, "Yeah, you have the face for it." I did not really understand what she meant. They took me to the cab service station where there was only a receptionist. The receptionist told me the cost of the cab and that I had to wait for it to arrive. The group said their goodbyes. We hugged and I thanked them. I got home safely. They helped me so much that night. I know those creepy guys could tell I was drunk. On a normal day walking around London, I got hit on sometimes, but in a respectful manner. Again, I don't normally drink. These guys knew I was drunk and had bad intentions. Please keep your wits about you and keep a portable phone charger on you. I was stupid. Be safe. Don't make the same mistakes I did. More advice. Don't be disgusting like Joe and Sam. When I was 17, I lived alone in a flat 5 minutes away from the town center. I lived opposite of a young couple and got on well with them. They would often knock on my door late at night asking for a toilet paper roll or some other necessity. I rarely looked out the peephole. I felt safe. One night I was up late watching TV when there was a knock on the door. I happened to look in the peephole and seen a bald man standing with his face to the side. My neighbor had recently shaved his hair off, and I immediately thought it was him, so I opened the door. When I opened the door, it wasn't my neighbor. It was my cousin's husband, who was about 40 and had met a total of 4 times in my life. I have no idea how he knew my address. He walked in and went into my living room. I was thinking I wanted him to leave, but didn't want to be rude and asked him to get out. I sat on the chair opposite of him and tried to make small talk, but he kept just giving me this odd look. It was a serious look that covered my whole body, and it made me feel so dirty, as it was bedtime. I was wearing no underwear underneath my pajamas, and I felt exposed. He asked for a glass of water when I got up to walk past him. I crossed my arms up around my breasts to stop the wiggle. I came back and gave the glass to him and sat down. The atmosphere was strange. It was so hard to describe. I knew something was wrong. I felt so vulnerable. I'm very small. The flat had a river and a large area of grass either side, so pretty isolated. I just felt like I was in trouble, but didn't want to let him know I was scared. I looked at the TV and said something like, "This is good. It's on every week," or something stupid like that. But he did not engage. I could feel and see him still staring at me in the corner of my eye. "You're not wearing a bra, are you?" he said in a low voice. I need another drink. He wanted me to walk past him again to get to the kitchen. He then started asking sexual questions. I sat there in silence. All I could think is that it will be okay. He will be gone soon. He kept saying how pretty I was, how he'd love to take me to bed, and what he would do. As he was saying these things, it was all in a low-toned voice and a stare that didn't blink. I sat there quietly, shaking my head. I have never felt so vulnerable, and just thought it was a matter of time until he approached me. All of a sudden, he snapped out of it. He asked if I was okay, and that he was leaving. He asked me not to tell anyone and apologized before leaving. I was shaken and phoned a taxi to take me to my parents' house. When I looked at my phone, I realized it was almost 5 in the morning. That creepy motherfucker had been in my flat for around 3 hours. I never seen him again, and he's no longer married to my cousin. I didn't tell her what happened. Don't open your doors so willingly, guys. I was 11 years old and had plans to meet 2 friends at the JCC to go swimming. I regularly walked there, since it wasn't that far away. I set off to the J. That's what most people call it, nobody calls it that. With my gym bag. I was wearing shorts and a tank top, if I remember correctly. I crossed over Church Street and was walking on the right side of the street. I got to this long, empty building and noticed a dark car with all tinted windows sitting away in the back of the lot. I almost would have walked right past because he was so hidden. He yelled out to me. I felt uneasy immediately because my parents were very strict about stranger danger. I said hey. His driver's seat door was open. He asked me to come closer because he wanted to take my picture. And I did by about 3 feet since he was still so far back. I was stupid because he definitely could have driven up and pulled me in. He asked if I had modeled before, and I said yes. He then asked if he could take closer pictures. I'd have to come closer though. I freaked. I said I was meeting my friends at the JCC. No matter, he kept begging me to come closer. I was terrified. Suddenly, I noticed a woman watering her lawn. I said she was my mom and I had to go. I can't remember if he asked for my name. I sprinted home, checking behind me every once in a while. As soon as I got home, I started sobbing. It all came out. My mom took me to the police station. And to my shock, my friends D and B were there. He had just taken pictures of them. D thought it was funny, B didn't. It was my fault he did that. The pedophile knew they were there because I told them. Apparently, he had approached another girl near Oakton Pool. He took pictures of her. We did a composite. He had salt and pepper red hair and a short beard. He was never caught. I knew he fully intended to take me, My interaction with him was different than the others. Girls, watch out. You'd think a pedophile would have been caught. Not so. If you are new, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me out. And if you are already subscribed, welcome back and thank you for subscribing.